Welcome to Rick's Corner. I got Doug Brignole back here. You guys have asked for him over and over. He's probably one of the best guests I have. He knows everything there is to know about pretty much everything.
Well, I wouldn't say that.
And I've learned a lot from him through the years. Now, a lot of you younger guys, you get kind of headstrong on your workouts. You think it's the only way to go, and I see you doing all this stuff. But take it from people who've been around for a long time. I met a man the other day at Starbucks. He's 99 years old. He's a little guy. He's got no ailments. He's got a little bad knee. He doesn't take any pills. He talks like this. But he has stories upon stories. He's seen it all.
He does.
So I listen to him. You know, when we come on and do something, we're a different generation than a lot of people out there. Yeah. We've learned by our own mistakes, and so we're sharing them now, and this is how you learn.
You have to respect what people have seen that you couldn't possibly have seen.
Exactly. Yeah. I had somebody argue with me on my show. He said, Arnold trains 8 times a day. I know for a fact. I said, how? He was like 20 years old.
Yeah.
I said, how could you possibly know? You weren't even born yet. I was the one that was there, and it wasn't 8 hours a day. It was like 2 tops.
Yeah.
Nobody trained 8 hours.
Well, and you start to get sensationalized.
It's sensational. You can't overtrain a muscle. Yes, you can. You can wear it out, and it doesn't work at all.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, you know, when someone's describing like a muscle that was this, it was this big. His arms were this big.
Yeah, sure they are.
It grows. The story grows.
And the guy like never worked out. And you see the guy, he says, well, I don't even work out. I just a little fat.
Yeah.
All right, so what do you have today for me? You said you had a surprise.
Well, I do. I'm going to talk about something that I hear over and over again. It's talked about a little bit more in physical therapy circles, although occasionally you hear about it from trainers. This idea that leg extension causes shearing of the knee.
Okay.
You heard that?
Well, what in regards to shearing of the knee, are you talking about the muscle, the tendon?
Well, basically what they say is when you're doing your leg extension that the application of a perpendicular force against the ankle will cause the knee to shift back.
Okay.
Away from, the attachment at the end of the femur.
Well, you want my opinion?
Yeah.
I don't believe that.
Okay.
And
that's a gut feeling, right?
Yeah, it's a gut feeling. I don't know for
sure.
But
by the way, that's correct.
Yeah, I don't know for sure. I know that my knee is bone on bone. We've talked about that.
Yeah. Well, you've got a different situation.
I just had it injected yesterday. They pulled out 50 cc's of fluid. There was another 50 to go, but they didn't take it. The funny thing is...
So is that just sitting around in there right now?
Yeah, but the funny thing is when they drained it, it loosened my knee up, right? Because you don't have the pressure.
Right.
However, I could feel my knee wobble when I'm walking because it didn't have the stability of the fluid.
Yeah, right.
So it felt a little weird when I left the doctor. I thought I was going to fall or something. But I do extensions and my knees are bad, and my quads have been ruptured, both of them.
Right.
I don't feel any discomfort in the knee at all when I do it. I don't feel anything like dragging you down or pulling back or anything. It's just there.
Well, this is what they typically say, and they have this illustration they always use, and it's basically two pieces of rectangular thing.
That's wood.
That's wood, right? Okay. But what they basically say is they have 2 of them side by side like this.
Yes.
And they have an up and down arrow on one.
Right.
And over here they have one arrow pointing this way, never pointing that way. And then they call this compressive force.
Okay.
And they call this perpendicular shearing force.
Okay.
Right? So the first thing I say is, look, compressive force when you're standing like this, that's not the squat.
No.
That does nothing. It isn't until knees start to bend that the muscles start to work.
That's right.
And as soon as they start to bend, it's no more. It's not a compressive force anymore. It's becoming perpendicular.
Although I told a guy once to do stiff-legged squats. He says, "How do I do them?" I said, "Just take the weight on your shoulders and stand there."
And just hold it. Yeah.
Just hold it.
It does nothing.
Does nothing. No.
So is that safe on the knee? Yeah, but it does nothing. Why do it? Right.
I was joking with him.
Okay, so in their illustration, they have this, vertical arrow or this horizontal arrow going this way, suggesting somehow that any application of a perpendicular force anywhere on this lever will cause the entire leg to move away. Yeah. So I created this thing to show something very interesting. Okay, so imagine that this is your thigh bone, your femur, and you're sitting on a leg extension machine. Right now, I want you to just put your finger right there and push toward me. There is a shearing that happens there.
Right.
Take it down and put it right here.
There is none.
There is none.
Right.
Right?
And there's where your force is coming from.
And that's exactly right. And the reason for that is because when you're pushing high on this, it can't act as a lever. The only way for that perpendicular force to be absorbed is for this thing to shear.
Right.
Right? But when you come down here, now you're creating a lever, and it's becoming basically the path of least resistance.
Right.
Right? It doesn't have to go anywhere else. It's fully absorbing it down here.
Right.
Okay, so then what I did is I created a very similar thing, but this is now the patella tendon.
Okay.
The patella tendon comes over the quadricep.
Which sometimes gets inflamed and strained a little bit.
Right, but the point is that those were ligaments that were kind of on the side, and so this shows that because this is on the front, it shears a little less even from up here. But the reason why I wanted to show that was because this here is a lever which magnifies force. Okay, now they might claim that that magnification of force is a bad thing, but it's actually the opposite.
Okay.
It's actually a good thing. Why? Because if you've got a 200-pound leg extension, you've got 100 pounds per leg, right?
Yep.
But because of this magnification, it's about a 20-to-1 magnification. That 100 pounds per leg requires 1,000 pounds of force from the quad.
Okay.
Which is 1,000 pounds of force coming from the patella tendon pulling up, right? So how are you going to shear this bone when you only have 100 pounds here, but 1,000 pounds anchoring it?
Yeah, you can't.
You can't get this thing to go in if you have 1,000 pounds anchoring it with only 100 pounds going in. We just proved over here there's no shearing effect even without the anchoring.
Right.
But you've got 20 times a more anchoring effect than you do perpendicular effect. There's no way that upper part of that lower leg can shift back.
You'd have to have a serious accident in order to shear that.
Well, what I actually said was, okay, you hold this like this. Okay, so this is the femur.
Right.
What I actually, hold it steady.
Right,
what I actually said is, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't let it touch the table.
Okay.
Don't let it touch the table. Okay. If you wanted to deliberately shear this thing, what you would have to do is not only push here, you'd have to block the ankle.
Right.
And push in opposite directions and release the anchoring effect. I mean, that would never happen.
Yes, it would.
You would have to.
No, I'll tell you why. It's a self-defense move.
Oh, well,
you hook the guy's ankle and kick his knee from the front. You're doing this.
Well, that's exactly what I say.
That's exactly what we shear.
Well, that's exactly what I say sometimes. It's like when I want to explain that something is bad, like on the road here. This is like this.
Yeah.
Right. This is a submission hold.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Why would you do a submission hold in the middle of an exercise? You wouldn't.
No,
right?
no.
When you're doing a leg extension, there's nothing blocking your lower leg, your ankle from coming back. Right. But if you blocked it, and maybe even push forward on it while you push back on the top,
it's going to do it.
That might do it.
Yeah,
if you pushed hard enough, but it would be impossible.
It had to be a really big impact.
I mean, this idea just gets passed down. The blind following the blind.
Mm-hmm.
Just they were told, they never question it. Mm-hmm. This whole idea that you must somehow avoid a perpendicular force. Look, just because if you've got a leg extension that's pushing 100% perpendicular to this, right? It's going to magnify this thing a certain amount. But if you're doing a squat and you have a partially perpendicular force, right? And you use twice as much weight on your shoulders, it equals the same amount.
It does.
The quadricep doesn't know whether you've got a partially perpendicular lever or a fully perpendicular lever because it all comes out in the wash with the weight you can handle.
Okay.
And you choose the weight you can handle, right? If you can handle more weight, you double it, you triple it, whatever you can handle.
Well, of course. Squats. I like squats. I think squats are really good and beneficial for building your body all the way around. I can't right now with this knee. It just doesn't want to do it.
Right.
I don't understand why. Let me see those blocks again. My knee, when I see my x-ray, my knee is like this.
Oh, yeah, right.
Bone on bone, and it's like this, shifted.
Right.
All right, so when I squat, it rubs.
Yeah, right.
I don't know what's going on in here to hold it, but I know that I can't squat. You would think that the tendons around it would keep it strong enough to be able to squat.
Well, here's the irony, is the compressive force for you might be the worst thing.
Yeah.
In other words, pushing down, if you're doing a leg extension, you've got nothing pushing down.
Nothing, no.
So that's probably going to be, especially on the low end.
Right.
That might be the best thing for you to do here, so we can see the show the viewers. This low end might be the best thing because there's a thing that happens to the knee. It's called a locking mechanism, or sometimes people call it a locking mystery. We don't exactly know why it does that, but for some reason, when your leg goes up like this, just before it locks, there's actually a rotating effect that happens. You can actually YouTube it and find rotating effect of a knee lockout, and it'll actually show how the thing comes up and actually it does this weird thing.
I didn't know that.
So, in your case, since you have no cartilage to protect that, I would definitely avoid that lock because you don't want to lock out with nothing to protect.
Exactly.
Right. But just do the bottom end.
Yeah. My question is, for you guys out there, if you can't squat, I mean, I do leg press. Leg press, I don't feel on my quad like a squat would.
Right.
It just doesn't get it.
Right.
It's pacifying me because it says I did legs.
Right.
So there's another leg press in the gym which you lie flat on. You can bring the back up a little bit and you put your feet up, and you're in a squatting motion. Mentally, if you close your eyes, you actually feel like you're squatting.
Yeah.
I think that one's better.
Well, and the bottom line is, how does it feel? If you feel the muscle working, you don't feel the joint pain, that's the one you use.
Yeah, I feel that. I definitely feel it's working.
Yeah.
I just, squats were always good. I feel bad that I can't do them. I do think they add a lot.
The squat, one of the next sessions we're going to be talking about compound exercises. Mm-hmm. Squat is one of the best compound movements. Mm-hmm. Some people have accused me of not liking compound movements just because I'm against overhead press. Oh, he doesn't like compound movement. That's not true. It depends on the exercise.
You're not the only one. There's a lot of guys against overhead presses. Rich Piana was one, and Ken Waller was one. These guys are champions.
Right. But the point is that every every exercise has a different set of elements.
Yeah.
But the squat happens to have one of the best set of elements in terms of safety for the hip, safety for the knee, safety for the ankle, safety for the back, provided it's not too heavy. If you go too low, your tailbone tucks under.
Well,
that's going to be bad.
When I first started training years ago when I was 16, I did squats to a bench.
Right.
The bench was my safety net.
Right.
And then I got rid of the bench. And then sometimes I would do them on a Smith machine,
right,
which I really liked. I think Smith machine is pretty. I even do lunges on there. And then I went to the hack squat. Hack squats really hurt my knees.
Yeah.
They just don't feel right. But years ago, and I haven't seen them, I think they still have them, they had a hack squat machine that you could lay face down and you do a thrust with it.
Oh, right.
That's a good machine.
Well, they call that a glute machine, don't they?
Well, you can do it. It's like a front squat.
Yeah, right.
But I see people doing it on the wrong machine. It doesn't work well. But that also works. In your mind, tell me, can you develop your quads by just doing leg extensions and leg curls, or do you actually need a squat or a leg press?
Well, look, when you're doing squats, you're not only doing hamstrings and quads.
Yeah.
You're also getting glutes.
Yeah.
You're also getting some adductor, inner thigh.
Yeah.
You're also getting some lower back.
Okay.
So if you just do leg extensions and leg curls, you won't get those muscles, but you will get good quads and you will get good hamstrings.
It would be like doing triceps and tricep extensions only.
Right.
Same principle.
Now, what I want to say about that is, you've heard this through the years. Some people call certain exercises size builders.
Yeah.
And shapers.
Exactly.
There's no such thing.
No, there's not.
The muscle doesn't know the difference.
Nope.
But here's what happens is people tend to do squats heavy and leg extensions light. So if you do leg extensions light, of course it's not going to be a size builder.
It's true. I always did mine first to warm my knees up.
Well, it doesn't matter when you do it, but the point is that if you're not comparing apples with apples.
Right.
You're doing one thing one way, another thing another way. It's like they'll say side raises are for shaping the deltoids and presses are for building. No, you can get as much load on the deltoid if you do it right for low reps with heavy weight as you can in an overhead press.
I see.
So if you're doing your leg extensions and you're doing it for size, you might not be able to because of the knee situation. But if you're doing leg extensions for size, you should not avoid the heavy sets of 6.
Yeah.
Just like you do a heavy set of squats for 6.
Yeah.
Right? Don't just keep the reps high because it's a shaper.
Right.
There's no such thing.
Tom Platz used to do that. He used to extensions until he couldn't do one more rep. Heavy. He would just be rocking and rocking, just working that muscle.
What I do, as you know from previous conversations, but I do 50 reps on the first set, 40 on the next, 30, 20, 15, 12, 10, 8, 6, 4.
Yeah, that's a lot of
And
sets.
I go as heavy as I can go on those last. So in those last few sets with the lower reps, feel much better than they would have felt if I didn't do the 50s, 40s, and 30s.
I agree with you.
So it's a lot of fun.
It's funny that you say that because, as you get older, maybe even the young guys say they get up in the morning, they ache. Some of the girls tell me that. I get up in the morning and I hurt. I get to the gym and I'm starting a little bit slow, but I'm there. And I think the first set just always kills me. It's just the worst. You're not warmed up.
Yeah.
My theory is to get rid of it and start with the second set.
Oh. Well,
forget the first set.
Well, I mean, a lot of people have sort of like an embarrassment about starting super light. It's like, I do my regular tricep skull crushers with 8-pound dumbbells as my first set.
I've seen.
I don't care what people think if they see that.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't work.
I'm going for a feeling, and by the time I'm done, I'm using 30s, 35s.
And you still get the same results.
Yes, in fact, a better result, because you're warming up the muscle better, you're warming up the joint better, and you're working the sarcoplasmic part of the muscle, which is the fuel cell around the muscle fiber.
Right.
And that has growth capacity too.
Interesting.
If you don't do the high reps, you'll only build the muscle fiber, but you won't build the fuel tank around it.
That's very interesting. I'm gonna start doing those reps like that on my quads.
Yeah. I
got to do something just the way they are because it's they atrophy when you don't work them. Right. I used to, so I got to hit them hard. Even by destroying my thighs or rupturing my thighs or my quads, they never came back to where I wanted. Right. And the doctor says, I'm never going to come back to where you want.
They've done some studies now for people like you who aren't able to go heavy, and they tried doing this thing called time under tension, which is doing very, very lightweight, long sets. 50 reps, 60 reps, 70 reps, high fatigue. Mm-hmm. And they found, they didn't look inside the muscle per se, but they found that you could get as much growth from the high reps, low weight as you could. Now, the reason I say you didn't get inside the muscle is because what you might find, if you actually climbed inside there and looked around, you'd say, wow, the sarcoplasmic part is much bigger than it used to be, but the myofibril part isn't. On the outside, the dimension is the same.
Yeah.
Of course, if you do both, then you get more growth.
Right.
But you can get as much growth as the guy who does only low reps, maybe more, if you work the sarcoplasmic part of the muscle, high reps, low weight.
How do you work that?
High reps.
That's what does it.
Fatigue. I mean, in your case, like, I wouldn't think twice. If I had your knees, I would do nothing less than 30 reps per set.
Okay. I'm
as many as 40 and 60. With who cares how much weight it is, right? I would do partial movements. If the lockout hurts, skip the lockout, do the first half of the movement.
Right.
You know, burn it. You'll get as much growth from that, possibly.
Well, I've seen guys do it.
Yeah.
Mike Sable used to do 100 reps, a big quads.
Yeah, and Tom Platz did 100 rep squats.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that's your point. I know. Yeah. I get it.
Fatigue.
Anything else on this subject?
Not on that subject.
Okay, we're gonna do another show on another subject, but let's talk to people and tell them where they can reach you.
Okay. Well, my name is Doug Brignole, so it's DougBrignole.com. And I got rid of DougBrignole.fitness. So if you've got that written down somewhere, get rid of that. I'm on Facebook, and I must apologize because I get a lot of emails.
Yeah.
And I can't answer them all.
It's hard.
There's just not enough time in the day.
I tried.
I wish I could, and it's not. People have offered me money. It's not about the money.
Nope.
You know, I just can't. I've got to sleep. I've got to eat. I've got to work out. I can only work so many hours of the day. You know, so I'm not saying don't send me an email. Just know that I might not be able to respond to all of them.
Okay, I'm the same
But
way.
I love hearing from you.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to hear from you guys and hear your theories and your questions, and we try to answer them all.
And then we can even bring one on the show if it's a particularly good one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we can do that for sure. It's just hard when you're working through the day and you got all these different things going. It's just hard to email everybody back, but bear in mind we do read them, and it's nice of you to send them in. I have a couple of shout-outs I want to. Number one, for Dr. Richard Rodriguez from Wellness Nutrition Fitness in Florida. He's been a really good friend. I support them. He's got wonderful products, and they're real, and I believe them, and they work. And so you might want to go to wellnessfitnessnutrition.com, store.com, and take a look at the product and see what you think.
It's good to find something that works.
Yeah, it's good to find something that works, and somebody who's actually honest with me and runs tests on labs, and it all comes out great. I'm just thrilled to death that we met up. Yeah. I also want to give a shout out to my website builder, tiptopwebsite.com. This guy, Dan, did me a huge favor. He redesigned both my websites, and I've been going on there fooling around with it. It's a little bit difficult, but I figured it out. And he did it. My God, he did a great job. So go to rickdrasin.com and rickscorner.com and take a look. Soon. In another week, I will have rickdrasinoriginals.com, which is all my t-shirt designs.
Right, the clothing, right.
All the clothing with the original Gold's Gym logo, the Golden Era bodybuilding.
I don't know if you guys know that he drew the first Gold's Gym logo.
Yes, I did. And the World Gym Gorilla.
And the World Gym Gorilla.
Yes.
I mean, where else would Joe Gold go, right?
That's right. So I have a series of designs after that, and really nice tank tops and V-necks with all types of different colors, black, pastels, you know. It'll be at rickdrasinoriginals.com. It's not up yet, but it will be in about a week. It's also unloading. We've got it going in China. Yeah. Rick's Corner's over there with subtitles, and the clothing's over there as well.
So you really are a part of the fabric of this industry. I mean, I say that sort of pun intended.
No, I know.
Because you're dealing with clothing, but really you are... From the beginning, the one of the original founders of the industry.
Yeah, and hopefully I'll be around another couple of years.
2 or 3.
At least. I think I mentioned, I ran into a guy at Starbucks today. He's 99 years old.
Right.
And he inspired me. This guy has nothing wrong with him, and he's still going strong. Yeah. I might make it to 105. I said, I hope you do.
Clean living, baby. Clean living.
Right behind you.
All right.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching Rick's Corner.
Thanks for watching.
We'll have Doug back again, and we'll see you next time. So stay tuned.
It's rickdrasin.com. He is the equalizer, baby. See you next time.